Hey everyone, this is Chris Crazy House, and today I want to talk about a very interesting article that I read in Cartoon Brew. And basically, it was a roundtable discussion amongst a lot of veteran animators. And they talked about a lot of different things in the discussion, mainly diversity within the actual animation industry. And they also talked about as far as the other side of maybe sexualizing men in animation. You know, it's usually women who are more sexualized, but they're talking about, you know, should men be more sexualized in animation? But the important thing that I wanted to talk about is the subject where they discussed animators over 40 or people working in animation over 40, because it feels like the industry now is starting to push, well, not starting to, they've been doing it for at least the last 20 years or so, where they're pushing out a lot of people who are over 40 years old. And anyone who is a student of the history of animation knows that that's very odd, because animation it used to be an old man's industry. People who worked in the animation industry would start young, but they would work there throughout the years and they would stay there all the way up until retirement. In fact, a lot of those older men were like the senior directors at the time. Like, you worked your way up from just doing maybe layouts or character designs or storyboards, and maybe even just being a colorist somewhere, and you'd work your way all the way up to being doing in-betweens. Then you'd be a keyframe animator, and then you'd be an animation director. So it used to be an old man's industry. A lot of older men would be the ones in control of it, and they'd be doing a lot of the tougher work. They'd be doing the actual keyframe animation that we know and love from a lot of those old school, either Disney, Warner Brothers, Hanna-Barbera, whatever cartoons you can think of. It was usually a lot of older men doing that. And I mean, if you think about it, as a profession, animation, you're really just sitting there, right? You're sitting there and drawing the whole time, and actually being a little bit older helps you hone that idea of having that type of patience and being able to do that type of tedious work. You know, that you're a lot more older and mature, you have a lot less distractions at that point. So, you know, it was something that was easily fostered and easily done by someone who was in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. And this doesn't just go for the animation industry. A lot of the art or pop art industries, like comic books, used to be a lot of older men working in it. If you think about, you know, some of the great artists out there, like Jack Kirby, he was working in the comic book industry for years. He didn't start really having his success till way after until he was way into like his 50s, I believe. Like that first classic run on Fantastic Four came when he was in his 50s. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that those industries used to be for older men, because the older man had an understanding of how to get work done. He had an understanding of, you know, what it took to create whatever medium he was working in, whether it be comic books or animation. And he had that mindset to be able to be prolific in his work. He knew how he could work his schedule. He knew how to get the things done. He had lived his life, his young adult years, and now he was in his older adult years. He knew how to kind of just sit there and get that work done. So it went from that to now, where a lot of people, once they even reach a certain age, they get pushed out. There's that really amazing documentary about the black animator Floyd Norman, who was an animation legend, and he talked about that a lot in his documentary towards the end. Like, he said, like, he was working at Disney for so long, and then they just literally just pushed him out just because of his age. Not because he was doing bad, not because anything he had worked on was bad, not because he lost his talent, because like I said before, animation is a thing that you can do, or an art is a thing that you can do, well, until you die, really. I mean, as long as you can hold a pencil, you can do it, right? It's not like something that you lose your skills in. But they pushed him out of there, and like a lot of older animators, they got pushed out of the industry. And then what happened was, you had a lot of young people coming in and a lot of new technology being developed, like whether it be 3D animation or whatever. But the problems come in where a lot of those younger animators did not know how to animate, because you had pushed the older people out, and those people were the ones who would usually mentor the younger ones, but they were pushed out before they could mentor anybody and teach anybody any production skills. So a lot of animations falter, and that's why I think there's so much trash out there now. In my opinion, the mainstream American animation industry is trash, and they wonder why they don't sell as well as a lot of the animation done either in Korea or Japan. I mean, even so, the animation industry here is almost non-existent as far as 2D animation. In a mainstream sense, I should say, like that age of Disney and Warner Brothers of doing animation here is gone. Yes, they still produce animations, but a lot of people don't realize, especially a lot of young people, when you watch cartoons like Ben 10 or Avatar: The Last Airbender or whatever, they do character designs and they do breakdowns of the script here in America, and then they send it over to a studio in Japan or Korea, or sometimes even China, to get the actual animation done. So actual professional animators, unless you're like maybe working in games or something, really don't have an outlet or a place to go. And it's a shame to see that. And like I said, in my opinion, having those older people there, whether it be old men or older women, there's a lot of very popular, very accomplished female animators and artists out there as well who work their ways up through the ranks. It's a shame that those people get pushed out of an industry that they kind of help foster. I don't think that's right. There's a big clash, and I tried to explain this to the brother Sean James, who he did a whole video talking about the decline of the 2D animation industry here in America. And I tried to explain to him, saying that there's a partial it's partly the animator's fault, and it's also partially the industry itself's fault. The actual industry itself, I'm talking about like the corporate heads of these companies like Disney and Warner Brothers, they don't give a damn about the craft of animation. All they care about is cranking out a product that they can sell out there at merchandise. So however they can get it done, they're going to get it done. So when 3D animation came out, and they thought that makes animation easier because you don't have to pay someone to sit there and draw, you can just press a button and some keyframes can be filled in, they ran with that. Okay, they went right to that because they don't understand the art and the craft of animation. They really don't care about it. They just know it makes money, people like it, so, and that's why they keep regurgitating the same garbage over and over again. They don't want to be innovative at all. And once they figured out that you could do 3D animation and pay less people to be there, and you could push out some of the old timers and don't have to pay them any type of retirement, royalties or whatever, they went right along with that. So that's why, I think the industry has really suffered over the years, and why there's so much trash out there. Not, when I say trash, I don't want to down the whole animation industry. I think a lot of independent animation out there is amazing. Like if you've seen some of the stuff on Netflix like Claws, or if you've seen the movies like Wolf Walkers and stuff like that, or certain games that have that 2D animation style like Cuphead, that's where a lot of these animators wind up at. They wind up either forming their own studios or doing something more independent. There's no real community or being at a studio for your entire life anymore. And I've explained that to you folks before. There's no job security really in animation. They use you for one project, then they kick you to the curb. It used to not be that way. It used to be you were there as an animator, you'd be working there and you'd be working on several different projects. Any type of new project came through, you'd just be jump right on that and get that out there. Now they just use you for whatever project there is, and then you're out the door and you gotta go find work somewhere else. If they decide to keep you, it's very rare. And it doesn't matter if the movie does well or if it fails. You can do a movie that's successful. You can work on a movie nowadays that makes millions of dollars and gets Oscars and everything else, and still be out there looking for a job later on. There's a very interesting short documentary called, I think it was called After the Life of Pi or something like that. You know, that 3D animated film, The Life of Pi, that was directed by Ang Lee. The night that that movie was winning awards, they showed that the animators that were working on that, who worked on that film, were out of work and were trying to find new jobs at the time. So that's what I'm saying. It's like this industry, it just chews artists up and spits them out. It really has no concern or nor any type of respect for them or the craft. I say it's some of the animators' fault because they never unionized to the point where they could push back against that. They never stopped that from happening. They were always so more concerned about the work and not concerned about the business side of things. So they, in a way, they're kind of the orchestrators of their own downfall in that regard. But I'll post a link to the Cartoon Brew article, and you guys can let me know what you think about it in the comments section. As an artist and an animator who is 40 years old, you know, obviously when I saw the title of the article, that made me want to read it. But I don't get worried about that because, like I said, as far as actually doing animation, there's no age limit to doing that. In fact, it's actually a little bit better if you are older, because you get your learning stages out of the way. It's good to start early. You get to learn how to do it. You get your experimentation stage out of the way. And now I'm at an age where I know how a production works and how I can get stuff done. So for me, it's not that big of a deal. You know, I'd be more scared nowadays if I was a lot younger. Like if I was 20 years old and working in this industry, I might have a little bit more trepidation because just the way the industry is. But with my experience about how to do things, I've never had to worry about finding work or getting work at this point. But you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. And if you have any questions about the animation industry and where it is or where it's going, or maybe who to watch, just let me go ahead and let me know in the comments section. I'll answer it as best I can. Anyway, Chris Crazy House signing out. Peace.